You know that feeling, right, when you see a sunset so stunning, it just completely stops you in your tracks? Or maybe you hear a piece of music and it feels like it's speaking directly to your soul. It's this deep feeling of beauty, and it's something we've all experienced. But what is it? I mean, what really is it? Today, we're going to try and unpack what's happening in those incredible moments of wonder. The great poet, Rabindranath Tagore, I think, just nailed this feeling perfectly. This one line from his poem, it's really the emotional core of what we're talking about today. It's that surge of pure wonder that can leave you totally speechless, or for him, it made him want to sing.
So what is this feeling really? Is it just a nice, pleasant sensation? Or is there something deeper going on? Well, it turns out this is the exact question that has obsessed philosophers for like centuries. So we're going to go on a little journey, follow their breadcrumbs, and try to get to the bottom of this incredibly powerful human experience.
Okay, first up, the Song of Wonder. Let's start by really grounding ourselves in the feeling that Tagore is talking about in his poem.
I mean, just think about what he's actually describing here. He says he feels the entire cosmos, what he calls the hissing tide of the world, literally moving through his blood. Then he's walking through a forest, and the scent of the flowers is so intense, so overwhelming, that his mind becomes, and I quote, intoxicated to the point of madness. Wow. Right? This isn't some abstract thought experiment. We're talking about a deep, physical sensory overload that leads to just one possible outcome. He has to sing. So where does a feeling like that even come from? Well, if we go way back to the ancient Greeks, they had two very different takes on this. Is the beauty actually in the flower? Or is that flower just, a signpost pointing to something way beyond our world? And this is where the debate really splits in two. So on one side, you've got Plato. He basically thought that the beautiful things we see here on Earth, they're just shadows, kind of like faint copies of some perfect capital B beauty that exists in another ideal realm. But then his student, Aristotle, he kind of brought things back down to earth. For him, beauty wasn't some mysterious shadow. No, it was right there in front of you, in the harmony, the order, the pleasing proportions of the thing itself. All right, let's jump forward a couple thousand years, because this is where the philosopher Immanuel Kant just completely flips the script. He comes along and says, hold on, guys. The beauty isn't in the object, and it's not in some other world. It's in us. It's in the special kind of judgment our minds make. So check out Kant's breakdown. It's pretty fascinating. He says, first, when we find something beautiful, our judgment is disinterested. That just means we appreciate it without wanting to own it or use it for anything. Second, it feels universal. We have this weird expectation that everyone else should also see it as beautiful. And third, this one's a bit of a mind bender. It seems to have purpose, but without a purpose. Think about a flower again. It looks so perfectly designed, right? But for what? It doesn't have a practical job to do. And that connects perfectly back to our poet's song, which is this beautiful act that serves no practical purpose at all, other than just expressing that wonder. But hang on. What if beauty has nothing to do with calm, rational judgment? What if it's something wilder? A raw, untamed force of life itself? Well, that is the absolutely electrifying idea that Friedrich Nietzsche smashes onto the scene with. For him, beauty was all about power, energy, and the sheer will to live. So Nietzsche saw these two competing energies in everything. First, there's the Apollonian, that's named after Apollo, the god of reason and order. Think of a perfect, calm, classical statue. It's all about harmony and form. But then you have the Dionysian, named after the god of wine and wild parties. This is all about chaos, raw emotion, intoxication, that feeling where you kind of lose yourself. And here's Nietzsche's big idea. The most powerful, the most profound beauty doesn't come from one or the other. It comes from the clash, the tension, the fusion of these two forces. And boom, this brings us right back to our poet, doesn't it? When Tagore talks about being intoxicated to the point of madness by the smell of flowers, that is a 100% Dionysian moment. It's not some calm, detached judgment like Kant was talking about. No way. It's an overwhelming, ecstatic, all-consuming rush where he just completely dissolves into the experience. That, for Nietzsche, is a moment of real, life-affirming beauty. Okay, so let's recap. We've got Plato and his perfect ideas. We've got Aristotle and harmony. We've got Kant and his pure judgment, and then Nietzsche with this raw life force. I mean, they all seem totally different, right? But what if they're not? What if all these brilliant minds were just trying to describe the exact same feeling from different angles? Let's pull these threads together. The key, the one thing that ties all of this together, is that feeling of wonder. In Arabic, there's this incredible word for it, dasha. And it's not just being surprised. It's that deep sense of awe that just freezes you in your tracks. That's the feeling Tagore is singing about. It's the spark that starts philosophy, it's the moment that triggers Kant's pure judgment, and it's the full-on embrace of Nietzsche's life force. It's all dasha.
So, you see, the big takeaway here is that each of these philosophers was really just trying to explain this one powerful emotion. For Plato, that feeling of wonder was literally the beginning of all philosophy. It's what pushes us to ask big questions. For Kant, it was this special moment that allows for pure judgment. For Nietzsche, it was the feeling of life force itself bubbling over. And for us, right now, experiencing wonder is one of the clearest paths we have to finding real meaning.
And this is exactly why beauty isn't just, some nice-to-have luxury. It has deep, real value. On a metaphysical level, it connects us to something bigger, that sense of a grand order in the universe. Ethically, when we see harmony in art or nature, it can inspire us to be better, to create more harmony in our own lives. And existentially, well, in a world that can feel pretty random and chaotic, beauty gives us a way to create and find meaning on our own terms. And that brings us right back to the poet's song. His singing isn't just him sitting back and enjoying the view. No, it's an active, creative response. He's so moved by the world's beauty that he has to answer it with his own beauty, with his own creation. It's his way of joining the conversation, of affirming that he too is part of it all. So let's end with this. The poet was so filled with wonder, he was moved to sing. I want to ask you, when was the last time that happened to you? The last time a piece of art, or the view from a mountain, or maybe just the way the light hit a building at dusk? When was the last time beauty just left you absolutely speechless? And what do you think that feeling is trying to tell you?